Hey, True Believers England team here, and something I wanted to talk about. I did a video about how I think Perch and Thinking Critical West over there is kind of continuing the fight we used to do. And then I thought, you know what? Let's pull out some of the old videos. Look, there's some things, it's come back around. It has been for a while. I've been out of it. Occasionally dip my toe into it, but the truth is everything old is new again. And it's time to reiterate something I've been saying for 6 years now. And that is that, sorry, kids, you're not the customer of Marvel and DC. In all honesty, the comic shops are the customers of Marvel and DC. Marvel and DC, they don't care about you anymore. As a matter of fact, they really, really stopped caring. It used to be like they would have an ear out. Okay, let's see what the people are saying. Now, if you voice your opinion and it's something that they don't like to hear, they'll call you an ist, they'll call you an ism, and then they'll dismiss you, and they'll listen to the few people who actually agree with them. And judging by the sales, it's the few people. I said a long time ago, though, comic books are not dying. They're not. Oh, comic books are dead. You would see that all over the place. That's the dumbest freaking thing. It's like anytime you see a review for a freaking MCU movie, oh, they're doomed. Marvel is not freaking doomed, but you see that they're doomed. These are dead. That's dead. That's dead. It's freaking ridiculous. Comic books aren't dead. They're changing. And in all honesty, they're changing in a way that old farts like me don't like. That's for dang sure. But then again, I'll say also, they're not caring about the old farts like us. They're caring about the newbies, if at all, if they agree with them. If you don't, they don't give a crap. But what they do give a crap is that they convince the comic book shops that you want their books. And we say a lot of stuff that kind of paints a picture that we do. Even now, you'll hear somebody say something along the lines of, I really wish they would bring the JSA back. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. No. Or I once said, wow, I really wish they would bring back the Legion of Superheroes. And they did. And they gave it to Brian Michael Bendis. And Brian Michael Bendis continued to just, he just freaking screwed it bad. And that's what you get. And we say stuff like that, which encourages it, which makes comic shops think, you know what? Yeah, people are going to dig this. Let me order way too many of this issue #1 or something along those lines. And when we're collectors, we really don't like that gap, do we? If we have issue 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, we'll search all over to make sure we got that #4. We'll make sure. And if we like a particular character, we will buy comics through a Dan Slott Spider-Man length run, hoping that at some point it's going to get good again. All the while, we know it's bad because we've read the classic Spider-Man, except coming up behind us is this entire new group that has no idea how good comics can be. As a matter of fact, being raised on the comics of today, they look back at our awesome books like the Teen Titans, Crisis on Infinite Earths, anything written by Marv Wolfman, I guess, or even the Frank Miller books, and they say, wow, that's wordy. That's wordy. There's too many words here. I don't know if I like that. There's just too many words. They're not used to our books, so they don't look at that. They don't have any idea what actually good comics is because they've been dealing with the bad comics. And in all honesty, I know. It's subjective. And I used to tell people, stop saying you want good comics, because according to Marvel and DC, according to the Teeny Howards of the world and all that, they're giving you good comics because what you need is a lesson on identity politics. So they're making sure you learn that lesson. So what you need to do. Oh, I just said something my mom said. I just turned into my mom for a little bit. Anyway, I think it is, in my opinion, that communication is key. As soon as the book turns bad, don't read it for a couple of issues hoping it's going to get better. If you read an issue #1 that doesn't give you the story beats that you need to know, the who, the what, the why, if they don't give you those story beats, make sure you're walking away. Have a good day now. See you never. Bye. And you let your comic shop know that this is the kind of crap you don't want. If enough of us do it, then we can affect change. Because so long as if the Marvel and DC think the comic book shops or can convince the comic book shops that you want their books, they're going to. And the comic book shops are going to buy them. I know there are some that are getting tired of it. At the beginning, I think it was 2019, 2020, Phil Boyle, the guy who owns the Coliseum Comics, which is a huge franchise here in Florida, he wrote a letter and he says, I'm no longer playing your reindeer games. He didn't, I'm paraphrasing, of course. It was back when they were doing the ordering. If you wanted this valuable cover, you had to order 50 copies of a comic book that doesn't sell. They're like, no, we're not going to get stuck with it. And I got to admit, it's a little frustrating because you used to be able to find every comic book on the shelf. But with what they're doing now, you can't anymore. You know, it's the reason why is they'll buy for the subs and then maybe 2 or 3 extra copies to put on the shelf. And I don't blame them. I do not blame them. Something that's going on right now is there's comic book shops popping up that don't carry new books. That actually, I thought about that. I was like, doesn't carry new books. It's like for a while, it was like one of those things that just doesn't make sense. And I thought, you know what? That's actually a good idea. You know, branch out. You got your games, you got your toys, you got all the other stuff, you got your back issues. New books just seem to be a bother. That it's a gamble because unlike in the past, and yes, in the past, Marvel and DC, they had a return policy. See, if a Marvel and DC comic, or most comics actually, didn't sell, they would just tear the cover off the front or part of the cover off. If you've ever seen a book with half of a cover or like the corners torn off on some of them, that was a book that was returned, by the way, and managed to, or was about to be returned and managed to find its way in circulation again. But they don't have that anymore. They don't have the return policy. They don't have, I mean, that's kind of an insurance for Marvel and DC to make sure that that's an insurance from Marvel and DC to the comic shops. So the comic shops don't lose their shirts. I think that is, that would be a great way to kind of let them know also, hey, look, these books aren't good. We're sending these back to you. They don't have that gauge anymore. If they sold 10,000 copies and then 8,000 of them came back because people didn't want to buy them, then maybe Marvel will learn that it doesn't sell. But instead, they sell 10,000 copies and it just stays there. So they don't learn. And more to the point, they blockchain everybody who might say something in dissension so they don't hear those voices. They will say, and I've seen this happen, they will say that we are living in a bubble. People who make videos like I do, Perch, Thinking Critical, Diversity in Comics, or whatever he's calling himself these days. We're all making videos and they'll look at us, call us haters, and they'll say the same thing, we're living in our bubble, but they actually are, because they're using their blockchains to make sure that we can't see what they're saying. I am blocked by damn near every creator. I wish I wasn't, because I would love to see what they're saying so I could talk about it. I would love to actually do some interviews with people. It's something when you're talking about this kind of stuff, I would love to talk about and talk to the people who disagree with me the most, but it just doesn't happen a lot. I've had a couple of people on, some customers, some guests that disagreed, but never had on like Ron Lim or anything like that. And I love their work. I would love to talk to them, even if they just want to come on and geek out. But it's something about that. So I guess to sum up, and yes, I do freestyle and just free thought kind of thing. That's why I ramble sometimes. You got to control it with your wallet. You got to tell them, hey, look, you know, we want these books, keep those there. And you got to keep that communication fresh too. I mean, like as soon as you start seeing it, have a good day, guys. And I know you run the risk, like I did one time. I was tired of Batman. I stopped, and then like in 2 months they did Hush. Go figure, right? And I know that's the big scare, but if you want to communicate that, hey, these are the books that we don't like, you got to take that risk too. But that's just my opinion. What is yours? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to click like, share, subscribe, ring the notification bell if you haven't done it already. If you don't mind helping out the channel, there is a Ko-Fi link in the description below. And if you haven't watched it already, I'm popping up that video I did about Wes and Perch and all that. So if you haven't checked it out, check that video out. And you know what? I'll put another one up just in case you did. So you kids, thank you very much. And to all the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night.